Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be teaching you how to place the traps on your base like a professional. So if you're wondering how teams like Navi or Tribe Gaming place their traps and get great baits against attackers, this video will teach you how to do that. So there are several important things to know when placing your traps. First of all, you have to know what strategies you want to defend against. For example, if you're using the base for a Legends League, Clan War League or Esports, the strategies you face will vary. The second important thing to know is that you need to test your traps to make sure that they work properly and people use the entries that you predicted. So in this video, we'll be looking at trapping against Fireball Super Witches, Fireball Rocket Balloons, Dragons, and Root Riders. So they're just kind of common meta strategies that you should know how to trap against. And we'll start with predicting the entries people will use, and then I'll teach you the strategies for how you place the traps against those entries. So the first thing we're going to try to predict is Fireball Super Witches. And this is where it becomes useful when you're familiar with different strategies and you at least know what entries people might use so you can trap and predict against them. So for a Fireball Super Witch attack on the space, there are several points of Fireball value. For example, right here is big Fireball value, but the Monolith and Expo and Defending Heroes make it hard to make a Fireball with a few invisibilities. The big entry I see on the space is a Fireball right around here with just a short Warden walk. And then after that, the Warden would be placed like here, the Fireball here. The Super Witches will transition right over here. Then the Queen and Siege Barracks right around here with like a wall break and to get into the Ricochet Cannon. And then the Queen can even get towards the Scatter Shot over here. And maybe a Royal Champion towards the back end, somewhere like this. So this is the general idea. And let's look at the next strategy now, which is going to be Dragons. So after we erase all of this, what kind of dragon entries are there? Well, dragons, a simple entry could be, for example, Queen over here, Giant Arrow to snipe the sweeper over here, and then we could recall the Queen and place her right over here, with the King in front to tank, and then the dragons could go straight into the core with a blimp towards the Town Hall, something like that. And maybe the Royal Champion again here for cleanup, or from over here. It really depends. So after Dragons and Fireball Super Witches, what other strategies do we have? We have Warden Charge with Rocket Balloons. And the important thing to look at with this strategy is where you can combine the Warden with a Flame Flinger. And I see one great place to do that, because if you place your Warden right over here, he can tank this Expo, the Flame Flinger can go over here, and then you can get a nice Fireball right around here. With Warden Charge Rocket Balloons, unlike Super Witches, you can go for a much deeper Fireball because you have more spells for your Warden. And then afterwards, maybe you'll face the Town Hall or something, kill the enemy heroes, which would be challenging too. And maybe we could bait this with like a Super Minion Clan Castle. But we'll talk about the traps in a bit. The heroes could either come from here or here, somewhere like that. There could be a Royal Champion, maybe deeper in the core, I don't know, or towards the outside. We can test this, of course, and find out where Rocket Balloon players are using their heroes, and that will help us get the traps better. So we looked at Fireball Rocket Balloons, we looked at Fireball Super Witches and Dragons, and last but not least, we have Root Riders. So there are two kinds of Root Riders we're going to look into, first with a Sui Hero entry, and then with an Electro Boot Charge entry. And a very obvious entry for Root Riders on the space could be a King over here to funnel, and then the Queen can go like here with the Siege Barracks, and then the Root Riders could be somewhere into the core. If the Queen just takes out like this Wizard Tower, of course, as you can see, the Root Riders will have a generally simple path straight into the core, and maybe an overgrowth around the Town Hall and Monolith, something like that. And then everything collapses towards the back end of the base. Now next we have to look at the Electro Boot Charge with the Royal Champion. So for an Electro Boot Charge, those entries are also similar to the Sui entry, but it's sometimes better when there's clear pathing for the Royal Champion. So maybe somewhere like here could be a decent Electro Boot Charge. with like 4 or 3 invisibilities in the haste vial. And then just to recall, if the royal champion like gets to this area, that would be pretty strong. And then root riders like right over here, queen and siege barracks right over here with an overgrowth on the town hall. This entry actually could also be used for the Sui entry with root riders. We're not sure, we'll have to test both to make sure we know which one's most likely. But now let's look into how to place the traps against those entries. Okay, so how do we place the traps against those entries? Well, first of all, we have the Teslas, and those are better towards the back end of the base. So where the troops are struggling or wherever they feel a bit of pressure, and the Teslas or traps can help to amplify that pressure. So we remember with the Super Witch entry, it might go like somewhere here, Root Riders somewhere here, Dragons all somewhere here, there's a Warden charge somewhere over here. And that means that this area looks good for hidden Teslas, because it's like a backend for Root Riders and Dragon attacks and Super Witch attacks, and also helps to kind of make the Fireball Rocket Balloon attack a little bit more difficult if someone's going to Warden charge from here. So let's just place the Teslas somewhere, wherever we see. Just spread them out a bit. When we test, we can of course help to make everything better. Maybe something like this. Somewhere in this way, I don't know, maybe we could make them lean more towards this area, because if a queen were to come towards the scatter shot, maybe the Teslas could provide a bit of defense. We also remember there was a flame flinger towards here with the Fireball Rocket Balloon plan. So maybe we could have like a Tesla just to like make a bit of surprise, although people will probably test for it. Maybe just a skeleton trap against that would be like decent right around here, just as an idea, for example. Of course, now let's just place our Teslas. It doesn't have to be perfect, but when we test, we'll know the better placements for it. And generally, 1 or 2 skeleton traps around the Tesla farm are a decent idea. I don't know if this is the nicest placement of Teslas, maybe like something here. But again, we can test and make that better. Now, what other things? We remember with the Super Witch entry, if they're going to be going towards here, maybe a red bomb farm against healers is a good idea. So how can we do that? Somewhere around here would be nice, but then we don't want Cocoloons to stop that. So one interesting idea, which it might depend on how the attacker plays the red bombs, is to like place a black mine here, and then the red bomb farm is like right around here as people are transitioning into Super Witches. This is risky if people play coconut balloons, but again, you can test this out. This is one idea. A second idea for baiting healers is to place your red bombs a bit deeper into the base. So somewhere around here, if people place their coconut balloons earlier, might be a good idea. So that's something like this. This could be an idea that we could use, or maybe even deeper here. But the problem with putting red bombs too deep into the core is by then if the healers are here, then the Super Witches are like way over there, and it's kind of too late to kill all of the healers. So we're just going to try this as an example, and then we're going to place some Seeking Air Mines against any coconut balloons to bring them down before the healers die. Also, note that sometimes the Phoenix from the King can also trigger red bombs. So if you place your red bombs too deep in, the King might be dead by then, and the Phoenix will trigger the red bombs, which is kind of annoying. Now, what other traps do we have? Well, we have the Gigabomb trap, right? Perhaps around the Town Hall area might be good, or right behind. Just an idea, perhaps, against some blimp. And speaking of blimps, since we said the dragon entry is going to come right through here, we can place a tornado trap right on this area or over here. We can try to catch it early, that's an interesting idea, and then place some Seeking Air Mines. But for that, to kill the blimp, we would need red bombs over there. So but there's also a Gigabomb over here. So it's like a 50-50 thing. Do you want to bait healers or do you want to bait dragons? That's kind of a question some attackers have. So just generally, we might maybe put the tornado trap here, and the Gigabomb can be here to prevent any kind of clone towards maybe the scatter shot. I don't know, the back end. Again, maybe there isn't much clone value, maybe around the monolith is okay. But that's just an idea we have. Now, how do we place the black mines against dragons? Well, they'll be towards the back side of where the dragons are. So the dragons over here will be under the Warden's Eternal Tome. So maybe by like over here, they won't be under the tome. So we could place some black mines like this. Just for example, maybe they path here, like that, for example, somewhere around those lines. We have one more skeleton trap. Where can we place it? Well, remember how we said that in many entries, the queen might be going the siege barracks towards here, either with a super witch entry or with a root rider entry. So we can place a skeleton trap here because it helps against that queen siege barracks combo. Of course, we also have this skeleton trap over here, which was against a flame flinger. We could also test that, see if it works. Maybe if it's like this, it'll be harder. Where would the flame flinger be? Maybe here, and it would be hard to test for it. Again, we could test the skeleton trap to make sure it works properly, and we'll see how that goes. Now we have some giant bombs, some small bombs, and spring traps left to go. So giant bombs are kind of towards the core and back end of the base, so maybe if super witches are going to be in this core, some giant bombs could be okay. We'll move this black mine over here, like this. I want some bombs around this area. And then, again, maybe here, if like a queen steps into the ricochet cannon. Towards the back end over here seems like it might be okay. I don't know. We could place a giant bomb here. Again, near the Tesla farm, giant bombs do a nice job. Around here, maybe if I had the choice, I would bring some more giant bombs like here. Something within that kind of area. Again, I haven't really tested this base, so I don't know the perfect placement for everything. But this is the ideas we should go for. Finally, we have spring traps. So how do we place them? We can place them against Valkyries, or we can place them against like a royal champion with the hog puppet. So for there's a royal champion. Well, royal champion with a hog puppet, maybe we could place it like over here, since we knew the royal champion might clean up around this area. And by here, she might be under a bit of pressure. And speaking of that, maybe we could place like a skeleton trap instead of to defend the flame flinger. Place it over here, because we might already have the Teslas over here to stop the warden charge, and maybe a rocket balloon CC if they mess up somehow. I'm not sure really. Also, those enemy heroes are a bit... okay, they're towards the middle. So it's really a 50-50 again, as you see. Depends on what entries you want to defend against. Skeleton trap might be also good over here, since people might send their royal champion from there. And speaking of which, we might need some giant bombs there. Maybe take from here, for example. Around this area. Or just one here. One here. Again, different kind of ideas. Depends which strategies you want to bait. Then there's the spring traps, as we said, for Valkyries. So we know Root Rider attacks will maybe come in from over here. Again, important to place them towards the edge of the building, because that's where Valkyries go, like here. Maybe here, like this. I don't know if any Valkyries will go here. Just kind of an idea we have. Or maybe spring traps could go maybe after this. Okay, somewhere like here. Again, I don't know if those traps are great, but that's kind of the general ideas. Also, there's the Spirit Walk Root Rider attack, which you can look into. And one good thing we can do against that is the Tornado Trap. So if we know that a Spirit Walk is going to be coming in towards this kind of area, towards there, maybe we know that by right around now, the Royal Champion will pop her Haste Vial, and the Tornado Trap can waste quite a bit of time. So maybe not here, maybe over here. Again, it depends if we test it. Again, for a very long Dragon Spirit Walk, over here might be a nice entry. And again, we could have the Tornado Trap here. Maybe it could be like here to defend both the Blimps and the RC Walk, but that's a bit hard because the Blimp comes from here, the RC from over here. Also notice that those Teslas might help against the Spirit Walk too, and the Giant Bombs, just to slow everything down if someone's going to go with 11 invisibilities. So it's important, just as a final note, to try to make your traps overlap with as many strategies as they possibly can. So we'll just put the Tornado Trap here. So yeah, as my point was, the best way for your traps to go is to make them overlap with as many strategies as possible. So the same Tesla form could help against Root Riders, against Super Witches, against the Dragon backend, whatever. So I'll just give you a quick summary again of how to use each traps. Tesla forms or skeleton traps towards the back end of the base, wherever a strategy is going to end on. Or if they're facing a bit of pressure, you can add a Tesla form. Against a Queen 2 that may be funneling with a Siege Barracks, here could be okay-ish maybe. Then we have the Giant Bombs towards the core of the base or towards the backside of the base as the troops start to thin out just a little bit. Black Mines against Dragons towards the back end after they go under the Eternal Tome, and definitely not in the way of the Blimp. So like Black Mines here, maybe not the best idea because the Blimp under the Eternal Tome will catch those Black Mines. So more towards the backside. Spring Traps could be against Royal Champion with Hog Puppet Rocket Spear or something, or against some Valkyries with Root Riders. You can test those Spring Traps, of course, to make sure that they properly spring the Valkyries. And small bombs, just generally with the Giant Bombs. And the Red Bomb form, again, you decide. Do you want to bait dragons or do you want to bait healers? So that's it for this video. I hope you found it very useful. I'll put the link for this base in the description. And of course, perhaps you could try to trap this base on your own and see how you do. It's very important, as always, with base building and trapping, to know what strategies you want to trap against. Because the less strategies you have to trap against, the more precise your traps can be, and the better results perhaps you'll have against those strategies. So thanks for watching. I hope it was very useful to you, and bye.